Ui, con này trắng bạch tạng rồi. Này, ui, ui.
Be it snakes stranded in a haystack or a dog and a tortoise stuck together in an underground cave, there are times when animals get in trouble and are in need of rescuing. Here are some of the most daring animal rescues that, once again, restored faith in humanity. Large snakes in haystack. Despite the size of these snakes, they were like needles in a haystack. Several huge pythons were discovered hidden in a barn full of haystacks in a rural area somewhere in northern India. Upon several livestock animals suddenly disappearing, the livestock farmer called in a group of snake catchers who, after investigating, found these pythons. The reptiles were believed to have been relocated due to the sudden rise of water levels after rainfall and were desperately struggling to survive. After hours of scanning the haystack barn, they were able to capture the pythons, which were later released far away back into the wild. Alligator in inspection pipe. Spotting a gator in a pipe shows that they aren't just limited to open waters. In May 2023, crew members from Oviedo City's local government deployed a robotic camera to inspect pipe problems. Before they could find any anticipated pipe issues, they stumbled upon this 5-foot reptile lurking in the depths. The gator at first confronted the robot drone until the drone started moving closer, forcing it to turn around and flee in the opposite direction. Had this been a bigger alligator, the maintenance crew's job would have gotten far more complex. Underground snakes. Digging the earth may never seem to be scary until you find something like this. A construction crew that was tasked to replace a damaged fiber optic cable underground found a snake den some several feet underground. An estimated 40 to 50 snakes, small to big bulls, and North American racers were found in the excavator's bucket and also within the ground. Snake experts were called in to secure the snakes and to assist the construction crew in their own ongoing operation. Snakes often tend to live underground to stay warm in cold weather, to hide from predators, and sometimes even to hunt. Hopeless hawk trusts rescuer. This hawk understood the notion of desperate times call for desperate measures, considering its position. In December 2021, a man, after finding this hawk entangled in a fishing line, decided to step in and help while recording. In order to avoid harming or getting harmed by the sharp talons of the hawk, the Good Samaritan carefully cut through. Throughout the rescue, the hawk's piercing eyes remained fixed on him, a mix of fear and gratitude in its gaze. With patience and gentle precision, the compassionate rescuer managed to untangle the hawk, setting it free to soar once more. Snake in tar. An Indian speckled cobra found trapped in sticky tar faced a life-threatening situation until the heroic intervention of animal lovers and the forest department. The distressed cobra was swiftly transported to a restoration facility while it was in a sluggish state, where it was treated with a long tar removing process after a comprehensive medical evaluation. A dedicated team worked tirelessly for several days to give the snake oil baths to remove tar and ensure the cobra's complete recovery, with the ultimate goal of releasing it back to its natural habitat. Mud-stuck rhino. In most conditions, the weight and size might seem to be advantageous until it comes to getting caught in the mud. A staff member, while patrolling the reserve, found this critically endangered rhino that was found trapped in a dried-up watering hole at the Finda Private Game Reserve. A team, along with a digger, was mobilized for the rescue, where after 2 hours of effort, they were able to create a pathway liberating stranded animals. A severe drought in South African KwaZulu-Natal led to the depletion of watering holes, turning them into perilous mud pits. Dog, tortoise trapped. Tortoises are known to go down a tunnel to seek shelter, only this time a dog decided to join, twisting both their fates. In a surprise incident from February 2019, an unexpected pair found themselves in a sticky situation, requiring the intervention of local firefighters. Taylor, a German Shepherd, and Godzilla, an 80-pound tortoise, created quite a commotion as they got trapped by the entrance of the tunnel, and with the bodies of both blocking it. While the tunnel was usually Godzilla's hibernation spot, Taylor decided to accompany him. Realizing the complexity of the situation, the local fire department was summoned to rescue this unconventional duo from their underground predicament.
All right, just let the turtle go.
Stuck in culvert pipe.
Come here. Good boy.
Finding a bear down a hole is the last thing that you could expect. A black bear found itself trapped within a culvert near Colorado, prompting the intervention of Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Recognizing the urgency of the rescue, a crane was enlisted to carefully lift the bear out of the narrow space. Using secure belts, they gently hoisted the exhausted creature to safety. It appeared that the bear had endured its confinement for an extended period, likely leaving it weakened and too fatigued to exhibit aggression during the rescue. After all, bears are known to get a bit too curious for their own good. Leopard trapped deep under. Even with all the struggle and determination, this leopard stood no chance of escaping. This leopard from the wild was found trapped deep inside an abandoned well and was almost exhausted after repeatedly attempting to climb its way out until it was spotted by a group of Good Samaritans. The rescuers improvised a ladder, which was lowered soon after, giving the leopard the only possible way out. Although this big cat initially seemed suspicious, it was finally saved. Drowning orangutan rescued. Although most animals are natural-born swimmers, orangutans aren't one of them. A zookeeper, after noticing an orangutan that was drowning within the water area of its enclosure, sprang into action to save it. This incredible footage was recorded by the pond at Vinpearl Safari Phu Quoc, located on the largest island in Vietnam, showing the Good Samaritan who first deployed an air cushion before jumping in to save it. After pulling the orangutan out, he also did not hesitate to perform life-saving CPR. Orangutans are known to have a fear of water, as they have high body densities that can't help but sink. Stuck, starving elephant. With the wells being this huge, something like this from happening was inevitable. Villagers from Bangladesh found this baby elephant stuck in a well surrounded by agricultural land miles away from the bustling crowds, and it took a while for anyone to notice the plight of this unfortunate creature. They came together with the intention of rescuing the elephant that was trapped for 3 days. After much struggle, an excavator was brought in to carefully break the well and clear a pathway out. With the elephant having lost its strength, it wasn't able to walk out despite the pathway being cleared. After much struggle, the baby elephant finally made its way out. Injured snow leopard saved. When it comes to helping injured snow leopards, the priority must always be high considering their rarity. Locals from China's Qinghai province rallied to rescue an injured snow leopard after it was found in freezing cold water with snow with an injury on one of its hind legs. The leopard was then captured and taken to their village with the help of the Forestry Administration. After disinfecting and bandaging the wound, the nearly 2-year-old female leopard regained her strength and stood up. The rescuers decided to have the leopard stay in captivity with the ultimate goal of releasing it back into the wild after a full recovery. 50-foot well rescue. Of all the animals that were found deep under, this one was rather of a brawl gone sideways. 2 bulls were noticed getting trapped into a 50-foot deep well during a dispute over a female. With the well enclosed by a formidable brick wall, immediate demolition was necessary while awaiting the arrival of a crane. The entire village banded together, offering their assistance to help. Once the crane was on the scene, rescuers, with the help of the crane, reached down the well and pulled both the bulls out, one after the other. A veterinarian soon after started giving meds to both while calming them down. Fish swimming aid. It is very different for a fish, but the same when it comes to disability or limitations to walk. A fish owner in Sweden came to the aid of his disabled pet goldfish that couldn't stay afloat due to a damaged swim bladder, which left the fish stuck at the tank's bottom. As a result, he had a custom-designed harness that worked as an underwater wheelchair for the fish, fashioned from twist ties and pieces of cork. This floating harness provided the fish with buoyancy near to its weight, giving it a second chance at being able to swim freely once more. Swim bladder issues are known to be common among aquarium fish. Horse found under floor. The question that needs to be asked here is not of how did this happen, rather how the owner of this horse let it come to this. An adult female horse, Yeji, was discovered lying on the ground under the floor of a well-furnished veranda by neighbors. With the absence of the owner and the horse struggling to free itself, animal rescue services were called in. By the time the real help arrived, Yeji was unconscious and was pulled out with the help of ropes tied to a crane. Veterinarians were on the spot to examine the poor horse by performing CPR until it woke up. It is believed to have slipped while grazing on a narrow ledge and falling down and sliding underneath the veranda. Starving lion in captivity. For the king of the jungle to be treated in such a manner is truly shocking. In 2020, this footage of a lion known as Jupiter emerged, showing it to be in a dire state, emaciated and unable to walk in his enclosure in the department of Cordoba. Within its state at the time, his devoted caretaker, Ana Julia Torres, who was also known as its mother, took it into her care after authorities had removed him from Torres's care due to reported documentation issues in 2019. After having retired from the circus and suffering in captivity, Jupiter finally recovered. Before we move any further, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you can keep watching our amazing content. Mud-stuck elephant. Whether it was curiosity or desperation that led this massive elephant into a perilous situation, human carelessness played a role too. Footage shared by a tourist somewhere in Australia showed an elephant's predicament unfolding in the midst of an ongoing drought when it sought water in a fast-drying dam. Venturing into a shallow pool to quench its thirst, a single misstep turned this quest for survival into a life-threatening ordeal, as it became hopelessly stuck in the thick mud. Fortunately, many came to be rescued, and the elephant was pulled out with the help of heavy-duty equipment. Trapped forest bear. This looks like a case of a forgotten barbed wire trap, which may have been laid by a hunter. A brown bear was spotted tangled up in barbed wire in Sichuan, China, by soldiers after several nearby trees with thick branches were found ripped off. With the soldiers not knowing how to deal with the situation, wildlife experts and forestry officials were called in, who first put the bear to sleep before getting any closer. The bear was then blindfolded with a framed fenced net placed over it as a safety measure before starting to cut the barbed wire. After the wire was cut, the soldiers were kind enough to leave a meal for the bear to strengthen up. Stuck in house wall. What's more interesting about this incident is no one knows how the kitten actually managed to get within the house wall. A man, after having thought he lost one of his kittens, found it trapped within the wall. After 24 hours of the kitten being found missing, he started to hear a kitten meowing coming from within one of the walls. The man took up construction tools to get through the brick wall. After spending over 3 hours digging through the wall, he finally managed to save the kitten that was stuck for nearly 30 hours. The footage soon went viral, praising the man for not thinking twice about tearing down the wall. Caught in nylon fence. An Australian resident from the tranquil town of Byron Bay was going about her usual chicken feeding routine when she discovered a koala that was entangled tightly within the nylon material of the chicken coop fence. Recognizing the animal's struggle to get free, the compassionate woman swiftly sprang into action with scissors to carefully cut through and set the koala free from its nylon confinement. The little bear remained calm while the nylon material was being cut through. Once its torso was free, the koala didn't wait a moment longer and fled back into the wild. Trapped in poacher's snare. Back in April 2017, this young lioness was found stuck in the middle of a forest somewhere in South Africa. It had one of its paws stuck in a poacher's snare, to which the rescuers first had to sedate and blindfold the animal before getting any closer. As the rescue started working, a large crowd descended upon the area from a nearby village. With the crowd desperate to see the animal, they started pushing the rescuers around while causing a commotion that startled the wild animal. The rescuers then decided to transport the lioness out of the area and remove the snare wire from the lion's paw while en route to release the animal at a safer spot. Dog found in sewer. Residents from the small Chinese city of Chongqing found this pet dog that was stuck in a sewer system. The dog would travel back and forth on both sides of the waterway as the onlookers would attempt to feed it. It wasn't until the ribs started showing up before the rescue operation started, but the dog was nowhere to be seen. With the sewer pipeline extending to several miles, special equipment was deployed to find the exact spot, only to find its leash collar. The rescuers, with the help of residents, managed to find the owner of the dog, who was able to flush it out in the open, and it was finally rescued. Caught in between trees. In a moment of swift action and teamwork, a group of individuals noticed a horse trapped between two tightly knit trees. Without hesitation, they retrieved a trusty chainsaw from their toolkit and skillfully set it to work, cutting down one of the obstructing trees. As the timber fell away, the horse was finally liberated from its predicament. A sense of relief washed over the rescuers as they watched the once trapped horse regain its freedom. With a triumphant gallop, the horse made its way back into the untamed wilderness. Raccoon under tree. Either this raccoon was at the wrong place at the wrong time, or was a bit too motivated to lift weights far more than its capacity. A group of friends who were out camping discovered this helpless raccoon that was helplessly pinned under a tree. At first, one of the men attempted to lift the tree, while the other one tried pulling the raccoon out, only to find it react in a defensive manner. The rescuers made another attempt, only this time its eyes were covered using a jacket, and the ground underneath it was dug. Within a minute, the raccoon was able to get up and flee. Caught in flooded pipe. A father and daughter out fishing on a sunny weekend in Baltimore, Ohio, spotted this turtle who was in a tight spot with its claws wedged in a pipe while being stuck, fighting to break free. Without hesitation, the dad springs into action, using a rope to try and pull the determined reptile to safety. But that turtle wasn't given up easily. It put up a mighty struggle. After a strenuous effort, the dad eventually manages to free the turtle using his own hands. It was a heart-pounding moment, akin to scenes from an action movie, and the triumphant turtle swam away, grateful for a second chance at life. Sea stranded elephant. If there were something like an Olympics for animals, this elephant would easily have won the gold medal for the single furthest swimming distance. In July 2017, Sri Lankan Navy released this footage showing an elephant that was found swimming 16 kilometers out to sea. Using ropes, the Navy was able to guide the elephant back to the shore, which is believed to have been pulled away by strong currents from the shore as it attempted to navigate through shallow waters. They successfully guided the exhausted elephant back to safety as it struggled to keep its nose out of the water. Bald eagle saved. Eagles are known to often float around on the water surface to catch prey, but this one was overwhelmed by the waves. A bald eagle was found struggling to remain afloat off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada. It was flapping its wings desperately to avoid drowning and to try to get to safety, but was consistently getting hit by waves. The rescuers carefully grabbed the eagle to avoid it from using either its beak or talons against them. Initially, they struggled to get a grasp, but managed to calm her down. After a few days of resuscitation, the bald eagle was released back into the wild. Horse in quicksand. Back in May 2017, it was a race against time as rescue crews came to the aid of a 25-year-old horse trapped in quicksand that was slowly absorbing it whole. The Hillsborough County Fire Rescue in Florida received an urgent call about a distressed equine, Kirsa, deeply entrenched in mud up to her chest. As hours passed, the rescue team knew they had to act swiftly. To ensure her safety and facilitate the rescue, they decided to sedate Kirsa. With great effort and the use of heavy equipment, the dedicated team successfully freed the horse, granting her another chance to gallop freely thanks to their unwavering determination and compassion. Entangled in cable wire. In an unexpected twist of events, a leopard found itself in a tricky situation during its early morning hunt in Maharashtra. the big cat became entangled in a cable wire and, in a bid to break free, leapt onto a nearby tree. However, fate had a different plan, as it became ensnared in the tree's branches, requiring an urgent rescue mission. Fortunately, Wildlife SOS and the Maharashtra Forest Department joined forces to save the distressed leopard from this predicament. To ensure it didn't suffer any prolonged injuries, it was carefully taken into custody and placed under careful medical observation after the rescue. Saved from narrow drain. Just as Yeji the horse, this poor donkey dealt with a similar fate, but was much more fortunate. Animal Aid Unlimited, which is a non-governmental organization that rescues and protects animals in India, found this donkey lying in a narrow open drain by the roadside. With the help of ropes and manpower, the donkey was pulled out from the drain after the surrounding obstacles were moved. Aside from being immobile, the animal luckily didn't suffer any injuries and was able to get back on its feet in no time. Caught in railroad tracks. In November 2021, an extraordinary rescue mission unfolded in the US state of Vermont when a massive 700-pound moose found itself trapped on railroad tracks. Quick-thinking rescuers sprang into action, devising a plan to free the distressed animal. With great care, they managed to secure the moose into a sturdy sling, ensuring her safety during the operation. Adding to the collective effort, the Springfield Fire Department joined forces with the rescuers. Together, they removed the moose from the tracks and checked for any underlying injuries before relocating it to a spot not too far from where it was found. Camel mud stuck. There's no getting away from the mud, even when it comes to the ship of the desert. While driving off-road, a man found a group of locals somewhere in Egypt that were trying to free one of their camels that had gotten stuck within the mud. With it being much bigger and heavier than the men, they were left at a great disadvantage. Fortunately, with the recorder having a Toyota 4x4, they were able to pull the camel out of the mud using cables. With a mud this slippery, it certainly would be impossible for anyone to cross without ending up with a similar fate. Giraffe in the pool. Judging from its lengthy neck, this giraffe ended up in the pool more likely in an effort to rehydrate than going for a swim. Homeowners in South Africa called in for help when they spotted this huge giraffe named Lucy who fell into a swimming pool. With the pool much too narrow and the giraffe being comparatively huge, the option of pulling it out using a crane was out of the equation. After having the entire pool water sucked out, the rescue workers then resorted to demolishing it to create a path in order to free it. Baby hawk found lost. Not that this hawk was caught up in anything, rather, it seemed to be lost. A delivery driver captured this footage in May 2023 while making a delivery at a residence showing a helpless baby hawk that was lying by the bushes. Initially, it was thought to be either injured or tied up, when it actually seemed to have fallen from its nest. Being overwhelmed by the beauty of the bird, the man started petting before notifying the owner of the property. If it wasn't for the driver, this defenseless baby hawk would have been taken out by a bigger predator. Moose stuck in wire. A group of young Texas farmers responded to signs of struggle when they found this adult moose that got tangled up in a horse fence while entering their property. The entanglement only got worse as the animal struggled in an effort to break until the farmers decided to step in and help. Using pliers, they cut off the strings of the fence carefully and immediately walked away after freeing the moose, who then ran away. Polar bear rescue. In July 2008, a specialized animal rescue team in Newfoundland, Canada, faced a daunting task where they had to find a way to rescue a 300-pound female polar bear that was stranded on a sheer, slippery cliff. At first, they put the bear to sleep, after which the rescue operation began. With calculated precision, they attempted to secure the bear in a sling and human-sized stretcher basket to lower her safely into the water below. This was followed by the challenging endeavor of lifting her from the water to avoid drowning and putting their life in harm's way, as the effects of the tranquilizer could wear off at any time. Down the tiny hole. Trapped in a sewage tank and left standing for hours, this poor donkey faced a perilous situation before it was finally found. For it to be saved, rescuers had to cut through concrete to create a larger access point. Once the hole was sufficiently enlarged, two brave rescuers descended into the tank using ladders. They skillfully secured the distressed donkey with ropes before carefully hoisting it out to safety. Following this harrowing ordeal, the donkey was transported to a nearby sanctuary where it could receive the necessary care and rehabilitation it deserved to be free once again. Head stuck in jar. Just by looking at its emaciated body, it's safe to say that this dog has been in trouble for quite a while before any help arrived. Animal lovers and rescue volunteers in New Zealand shared this heartbreaking footage, saving a female dog that was facing a losing battle against a plastic jar that was stuck on the poor thing's face. They first had to apprehend her using a net before the jar was removed from its head and she was taken for further care. Apart from starvation and dehydration, the dog didn't seem to want to communicate much until a few weeks after its recovery, and was then given away for adoption. Stuck between pole and wall. Bulls have a lot of strength and rage, which often backfires on them significantly. This massive bull was found who somehow managed to wedge itself between a sturdy wall and a thick utility pole. It appeared to be in quite the predicament, with no room to maneuver and seemingly no way out. Concerned passersby sprang into action to orchestrate a daring rescue attempt by breaking apart the wall, which looked to be made of mud. After over an hour and a half of effort, the wall was taken apart until it was finally freed. This picture and video were captured on July 17, 2023 by a resident from a small, rural Philippine city of Sitangkay, showing a water well with several snakes that were found trapped. With no help from authorities, the locals decided to take the matter into their own hands in removing the snakes from the well. One of the snake handling experts was lowered into the well, and starting with pythons, began removing snakes one after the other. Once the bigger snakes were out, they had to drain the well water to reach the smaller yet venomous snakes, using rope knots that were used not only to maintain distance, but also to pull them out of the water. The rescue effort lasted for several hours, not to mention the underlying risk that was taken. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.